welcome to Crafts and Crime. I'm Amy.
I'm Elaine.
And as always, we have a craft and a crime.
Whoop.
So, this is, the second week of January. Everyone keeping up with your New Year's resolutions?
I won't make them.
I won't. I usually don't.
I just like, let's do better.
Yeah.
That's my main
I try
goal.
to make,
like, let's just
not resolutions,
be
but like good intentions.
Yeah.
I intend to do this. I intend to do that. So.
And we do have a lot of good plans because
Yes.
we are recording this early and we are so excited for next year.
Yes.
So we got lots more planned.
So, we have plans for the new year, and that, I guess, well, technically a resolution or an intention that we could do is getting that craft room set up so we can start doing more content with the crafty stuff.
That's very true.
So it's like work related.
We can open up our we can put more cute little shorts on our TikToks and stuff.
Yes. The TikTok that we have
like
the handle.
The young kids with the TikTok and the Instagramming and the snap facing.
I know. Oh, speaking of like being old, I was talking to the kids. Okay, so when Avery had Maddie over, and then Lenore came over, and the girls did like a sleepover, and Troy was like, "I'm out of here. Like, I'm sleeping on the couch."
He volunteered to help clean my house earlier in the day because
so bored.
He wanted to be away from their nonsense.
Yeah,
so
it's like 3 girls, you know.
Under the age of 12.
Yeah,
12 and under.
12 and under, and well, Maddie and Avery are like a week apart,
yeah.
So they'll be 12 soon. But it was so funny because I was in the living room and I was showing Troy, I mirrored my phone on the TV and I'm showing Troy some TikToks, and it was like the whole Y2K fashion thing is coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Literally, like the big boots, the cargo jeans, the blue glasses and stuff. Oh my gosh.
Both of Lenore's really cute boots are Forever 21.
I'm like, is it really taking
Isn't
it back?
funny?
When I was in like junior high, we were in junior high when all this stuff like first started.
Yeah, hey, guess what?
What, we're old?
When we were 13, that was 22 years ago.
Shut up.
And the thing is, it's like, I remember.
You have been good with math
I remember.
lately.
It's weird. I don't know.
I cannot.
It's crazy because, like, I remember being the girl's age, and I mean, I believed her, but my mom would just be like, "It's crazy. Everything that when I wore that when I was a kid
from like
is in the store right now." Exactly.
So. I was talking to my mom about
the 90s.
that.
My mom's talking about 70s clothes because when we started junior high, bell bottoms were like
tie-dye.
shit.
Bell bottoms, tie-dye. Although tie-dye is still a thing now.
Yeah.
But
and bell bottoms are coming back because everyone's like over skinnies.
Avery loves her flare leggings that I got her.
I love bell bottom. I'm literally wearing
bell bottom
flare pants right now.
Yeah.
These are not pajamas, ma'am.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Like that. I wear those as pajamas.
It's funny. These are like these flared, super thin leggings from Walmart, and in my roller skating group, the girls call them booty clappers.
What?
Because they're like skin tight, but they're such a good pant because they are comfortable. And I would absolutely.
I don't know how you're wearing pants. I'm wearing shorts.
It's because every time I go outside in my back patio, there's so much sun, so I had pants on.
Oh,
to try to cover. I'm so tan, which is not a problem, but my dad gets skin cancer, so I literally didn't even think about that. And it's like, holy crap, I haven't been this tan since I was really little.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, I have not been this pale in a long time. I do go outside, but I don't have the type of patio you have on the back where like you can go and you can sit out on the back and like watch the chickens and stuff. I don't have a covered patio. So, and then we had to take our son, the big canopy thing down because with the high winds we had. So it's just been down since then. And so I would be sitting outside, having my coffee and stuff. But then again, I don't really have the luxury to do that unless I have all the kids outside with me because they cannot be left unsupervised. Yeah. Because like I made pumpkin bread, or I didn't make it. I taught Troy how to make it, and Troy made it. So this is my grandma's recipe. So he used his great grandma's recipe, and I just told him what to do, and he did everything. I kind of helped with like pouring it and stuff and greasing the pans. And Link and Lily got into it last night, and they ate a whole loaf of the small ones. And then they got into the other one and like picked off all the top. Those that is the
best part.
Yeah, but I had made those for my brothers. So either I'm going to make some more pumpkin bread today, or I don't know, because I'm going to see my brothers tomorrow. But
I did hear one of them screaming about pumpkin bread, now that I think about it.
Yeah? When?
Yesterday.
Oh. It was Lily. She was crying.
Pumpkin bread.
She wanted pumpkin bread, and I was like, no, because one of them's for us.
And she's like, I'm going to get it tonight.
Yeah, no, so they just
Are they
like
pooping?
tore through it. Yeah.
It'd either be a lot or not at all.
Yeah. So they get into stuff. So I don't really have the
is
luxury
good.
of doing that. But yeah, so I'm not as tan as I usually am. But oh my gosh, last night I was sitting on the couch, and anyone who has little kids, you know, they go through phases where they just are clingy, they are needy, and my kids just are always my kids are so needy all the time. And last night I'm sitting on the couch, and they are both insisting on laying on me.
And it's crazy. It's not like they don't see you all day long. It's really funny.
All day. And so they were
You're still their favorite person.
I know. And so Lincoln had just woken up, and he didn't want to get up. Like, they both needed a nap yesterday. So they both fell asleep for a couple hours, and Lincoln was kind of grumpy when he woke up. Lily got up and ate because we had tempura fried shrimp tacos. And so she got up and she ate, and then Lincoln was kind of like him and hawing, like, I don't want to. And so he was just in a crabby mood. So he wanted to lay on me. Well, then, of course, that means Lily wants to lay on me, but Lily wants the blanket. So all three of us are like under the blanket on the couch, and I'm like both arms like these, and they're big. Lincoln is 6 and Lily is 4. You know, Lincoln just turned 6, but he's a big 6-year-old.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of when Lily was a month old. Everyone got sick, like sick.
Yeah.
And I was nursing Lily, and I have this picture I'm going to show you right now because I sent it to my mom. Look how haggard I look. I look like death. Keep in mind, I had an 18-month-old and a 1-month-old. Well, he was like 19 months old, so he was like not even 2 yet, and she's a month old. And I'm nursing Lily, and Lincoln's sick.
Oh.
Look at my dark circles under my eyes. And
Being
Jack was like,
hard.
don't move. Let me take a picture.
Being a baby's hard. Being a mom is hard.
Being a mom is hard.
That's what I meant to
so
say.
I, last night, had that flashback to like 4 years ago when they're both sick and need me. And so I was like, oh my gosh, everyone needs me. But that's part of being a
because we
caregiver.
record ahead of time and we hustle.
Yeah.
Like, these are back to back. That's why I still sound like this.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, of course, it's like we all have been sick and not feeling well. And it's when every one of the fucking cats wants to harass me. My cat slapped my butt today because he wanted to go outside.
And you said
it's
no.
just, yeah, it's just like.
I stepped in cat barf this morning getting out of bed. Yeah.
Kurt and I had like a giggle fit. We were both really, you know, when you just like hit the end of the day and you're like over it. We were so tired, and he handles vomit and poop situations like most men, just gagging and dying.
Yeah.
We have caught poop and vomit in our bare hands from our children on multiple times. So we're just like, whatever, get out of the way. Poor Kurt was like half asleep, and he was shuffling down the hallway getting ready to go to bed for work, which is really early. He has to go to bed at 7, just like Jack. And he steps straight in puke. And I don't know why, but for some reason, I thought he was going to freak out, and he just like dies laughing. It's like, I can't believe it. And I'm dying laughing. I'm like, but then I start laughing at him because I'm picking it up, and he's like retching, and I'm just like, shut up. It was funny though.
Well, that's like when, you know, Frankie, before he barfs, he announces it to the whole house by saying, no,
That's me.
literally. And it almost sounds like, oh no. And so I'm standing in the kitchen with Avery and Lincoln, and he's in the window box because we have like plants in our little kitchen window box, but we have to leave an empty section for the cats because the sun, they like to lay.
It is really precious. I would want to lay there too. If
one of my
little.
favorite pictures of Frankie and Calvin is them all snuggled up together in the window box. But anyways, Frankie's in there, and I'm in the kitchen, and we hear Frankie do his thing, and I'm like, oh great, he's gonna barf. So I quick get a paper towel, and I am like standing holding the paper towel under him, and you know, of course you hold the paper towel where barf here, but they turn to the left, they turn to the right, and
they want to get away from whatever you're trying to
barf
put
here. But then of course once he's finally in the throes of it, you know, then it's like, okay, I caught it. As soon as he like yacked, Lincoln was like I was like, why are you watching?
He's waiting, like, you know what's gonna happen. This is not new.
He had watery eyes and everything. I'm like, Lincoln, what the heck?
He's just like a grown man already.
Yeah.
Isn't
and I'm
that
like,
insane?
it is. Jack's not like that, though. Jack's
Cool. My dad wasn't either. My mom was the one. Yeah. My mom always will say that, like, you know, babies mix food together and like, let me feed you. And she would try and she would like retch before she like just looking at it. Oh my God, we could do like spaghetti-o banana pudding and my dad would, he'd eat it. But then again, I've mentioned this before, like my dad was in the military for 20 years. Yeah. Like you eat as fast, whatever mush mix put together, you know, he had MREs like for real on the field. So he didn't care. Yeah. My dad was definitely the cast iron stomach. And now I have it.
That's kind of Jack. I don't think. Because Jack never barfs, remember? That he can't barf.
The other day, because I'm sick, I totally thought I was going to get sick. And I was laying in bed. I cried like a baby because it hurts me so bad and I hurt my back.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do if I puke? This is going to throw my back out. Yeah. I was so scared.
That is the worst. Mm-hmm. Oh, man.
It's hard because like Jack doesn't know how lucky he is, but also it is unfortunate.
It is.
I get it.
I remember
he's like a rat. They can't barp. They can't burp and he can't barf. So like the buildup and indigestion would. Blah.
I think the only time he did barf was when he's been super drunk. I think he's done it like once. And keep in mind, like, we've been together 17 years, and in those 17 years I think this man has barfed like maybe 3 times, and one of those times was when he had salmonella poisoning, and there was another time he drank a little too much, and he woke me up. I remember this. I was pregnant with Troy, and he woke me up and he was like, "Babe, can you look up how to make yourself throw up?"
Oh no, he was so sick.
Yeah, he was so sick, and I'm like, "You throw up like a normal person." This was like, you know, early in our relationship, but I'm like, just go barf. So it does suck because I know being pregnant, you know, with 4 kids, 2 of them. Both boys, I got so sick. Lincoln was the worst.
Sorry if you're vomit sensitive.
I know,
some people
sorry.
Really are. Our last episode, what the hell were we talking about? Something
remember.
Gross too.
But
and now we're talking about something gross again.
Yeah, I just know that feeling of like,
it sucks.
If you can't, like, I know when I was pregnant, it just, you feel better after you.
Yep,
you do.
Even if it's like a tablespoon of whatever.
It gets that feeling to go away. Yeah. So like I said, I stepped in cat barf this morning, and so
actually, sorry, now that it occurred to me, did you want to do your update now, or do you want to do it before your crime?
Okay, so like we said, we record early, so today we are still in November, and so it isn't going to completely be updated, and I'll explain why. So I had updated everyone on the fact that what day was that? Let me see. Okay, so on November 16th, it was the day that we had recorded. So this was for an episode in December. We had recorded on the day that Stephanie Lazarus was up for a parole hearing, a parole suitability hearing. And so I let everyone know I would update as soon as possible. There's really not a whole lot to update other than the fact that the outcome has been released and Stephanie Lazarus was granted parole. Now, this does not mean that she's immediately going to get out. So we are in California. She is in California. And I think this is, the same across multiple states. So this is, I'll just directly read from the Los Angeles Times article. and probably the update that we will give if it is granted would probably be on social media.
Okay.
And then we would talk about it on a future episode. But this is directly from Los Angeles Times. So it says the parole board panel's recommendation of parole for Lazarus is the first step in the process and does not immediately grant her release. The decision will now undergo a review by the California Parole Board. If it passes, Governor Gavin Newsom has 120 days to approve or deny granting parole. So here we are in November. It still has to go up against the California Parole Board. And that is so it's like a 3-step process. This is the first step. It was granted. They could deny it later.
You have a chance.
You do, yes. And so this is them saying, yes, okay, you are eligible for parole. It's granted. Let's go through these other 2 steps. If the other 2 steps go through, then she would be released.
Isn't that going to be like a psychological evaluation and then what she has to say if she's remorseful? We did mention this in a our last episode.
Yeah.
One of the sources I had was a psychologist, and he was saying that a big part of being paroled is you have to be remorseful. There has to be shown change behavior, remorse therapy, all that kind of stuff.
And so I think in this
it's
case,
still
it's so infuriating because she was an LAPD officer. So she, I'm sure, knows what the parole board is looking for.
Or knows somebody.
Or she knows somebody.
Allegedly.
And, you know, it's kind of with that case with, you know, with Sherry Rasmussen, you know, it went unsolved, you know, for so long, and a lot was hidden because it's like, oh, she knows so-and-so, whatever. So it is kind of they protect their own. Not all cops are like that. But in this case, it kind of was a little bit of like, well, we can't look at her. She's an outstanding cop. And,
yeah,
you know,
she was
may
not going to
have
be
been
their first suspect.
But yeah, so it could just be like...
And these are all our personal opinions.
I know this is, but don't come at me. But yeah, so she...
It's fucking crazy.
Was granted.
Sorry.
When I found out, I immediately called you.
You did. You called me, and I was like...
I said
sick and resting.
Yeah, and I called you because I was like, I can't just text this to you. I was like,
Yeah.
I have to get your reaction.
Yeah.
So I called you and I was like, oh my God, guess what? And you said chicken
Chicken
butt.
butt.
And then I said
It was very inappropriate.
Yeah, and then I
time.
said Stephanie Lazarus was granted parole, and you were like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? We were both
I
just
still
we
can't.
talked about it for a while because it was just so infuriating.
Yeah, we're talking without a shadow of a doubt, irrefutable evidence. You done did it.
Yes,
and
premeditated.
You should not have an option.
Mm-hmm.
You should be in therapy.
I don't know either.
Oh,
I just,
I don't.
and like all the pictures in the courtroom, she looks so crazy. She's just crazy.
Sucks.
She's a,
It's
yeah.
really
so
gross.
as of today
It is
in
what it
November,
is.
we, that is the update that we have.
Mm-hmm.
If you are really interested, you can look it up yourself. If,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I could probably, you know, just like I said, update on social media.
Mm-hmm.
I just kind of hope that she doesn't get out. I'm wondering if a petition's going to start to keep her in, you know, by the family. I thought about that. But,
Yeah. That's intense.
yeah. So, yeah, it's weird because there's only a few news articles on this. You know, the LA Times is one of them because it's out here. LAPD, LA Times. So, but yeah, so that is the update that we have as of today. And I don't think we have any others to update on like parole. That was the only one that was coming up in our time.
Yep. And it was just a random occurrence.
Yeah.
That you found out doing your research that you were like, holy crap, that's
like now. And the day we recorded, I put it in my calendar to remind me. And so I checked on that day. I'm telling you, when that day we recorded, I kept refreshing, but it wasn't until the next day that it updated. I'm glad I didn't have to wait until like the next week, but
yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh. So yep, that is the update, and I'll keep you guys all updated.
Awesome.
Further.
Good
So
job.
thanks.
I always say like, I'll do an update. I don't remember.
I try to make notes in my calendar because otherwise I can't. It's like if I don't write it down, I'm not going to remember. But, yep, I'm working hard, you guys. I'm trying to keep it all in order.
Heck
Oh my
yeah.
gosh, that scared me. I thought it was a spider.
What? Oh my gosh, that's funny.
It's one of those from your lawn or mine or your backyard. It's your backyard.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah, I walked and looked at popcorn.
Yeah,
Popcorn meaning the chicken.
the chicken.
Okay, so what is your craft?
Oh, okay. So it's going to be real short because there's not a lot to it, and I'm not going to get down into individuals. It's fine. So,
Okay.
you know, we are just about to have Thanksgiving here because we live in the United States, and coming up is Christmas, and after that is Valentine's Day, and they are the biggest time in people's lives for greeting cards.
Oh, yay.
So I can't get away from paper.
Oh my gosh, I saw the funniest talk about greeting cards. It was a TikTok, and it was a greeting card, but it was for Christmas, and it was the 3 wise cats. And it says, I brought him a dead mouse. What did you bring? Or what did you bring him? And it was like, me too. so I brought him a dead mouse because it's a cat.
Oh my god.
I thought it was cute.
I was expecting like the frankincense and myrrh to be like catnip, and
No,
That's
it was they all
adorable.
brought the dead mouse to baby Jesus.
that's funny.
I know.
You'll have to show me.
Yeah.
So the custom of sending greeting cards goes back to when?
The Egyptian times.
Yes.
Oh.
And China.
Okay.
Actually, mostly in China because of their history of paper manufacturing in general.
That makes sense.
And they would use their cards, essentially their greeting cards, to give well wishes for the new year. But all cultures have done it. Like literally since ancient times, we've loved to talk to people and be nice. And so in ancient Egypt, they would have their greetings written down on papyrus. And even there was this is really weird. I'm guessing they popped it open. They actually had some kind of a greeting message that was engraved into scarab beetles. So like in their shells, like decorative.
That's weird.
Like almost like yeah,
Okay.
right? Isn't that interesting? So as with everything, go listen to my history of paper. That's where it started. Industrial Revolution happened. And the printing press, as it changed so many things in life, made the possibility of all of these really beautiful things. And people started with like, as I mentioned in my past episode, we talked about the calling cards for visiting each other, because you don't just show up. That's rude. People know better now.
Yeah.
Don't call me, you text. And you don't come to my house unless you make plans like 3 months ahead of time.
Yeah.
And I'll probably cancel. Sorry, I'm coughing. So the first ever commercial holiday Christmas card was in 1843 by John Calcott Horsley, and it was made for Sir Henry Cole. And it was a really happy scene of a bunch of friends hanging out, getting sauced, and they had a bottle of wine and a baby. So, yep.
Where's the baby come in?
Baby's just hanging out. So
Couldn't find a sitter.
Right? So he caught flack for that from the Temperance Society. And they are for against drinking and tobacco usage and sinning. So they thought that it was going to encourage underage drinking. And so he caught flack for that. And like, this is a common thing.
Yeah.
Something that, again, like I do have sources for this. They're interesting. But what I'm going to do is, like, I love Victorian. They're so cuckoo. These cards are amazing. And on socials, I'm going to post some examples, because the Victorians, they're amazing. It was ridiculous. So one of the very odd Valentine's card from 1860 featured a lobster piled around a bunch of lace. And the inside, I'm so sorry. I've been talking and I'm dragging on.
It's fine.
Inside of the card, quote, it said, "A lobster in love." When you open the inside, it said, "I have a lady in my head." They had no idea what they were doing, but it's precious. They were trying.
It sounds like those, like the stickers that are just from like non-native English-speaking countries, and it's so off.
It really is. And so I don't get it. It's cute. I think they're just like, I had this funny thought and it's amusing, so let's doodle it down. But again, the ability to print things in color was like, let's do it. It was whatever.
Yeah.
So there are Victorian Christmas cards with like frogs and tuxedos dancing. It's like, have a happy new year. Like, they're amazing.
I would like that card.
And they're really funny. And I swear there are so many of them, and it's going to be hard for me to pick just a few. But, but before this, in between, ancient times, we went through, basically Europe was the end all for, greeting cards. They took the most care, specifically in Germany, actually around like the 1400s is when it was really popularized. And but they were like engraved in wood, different decorative objects, but also paper, but again, very expensive, a commodity, so they weren't exactly the same. It was decorative scroll work and done by hand and things like that, not colorful pictures that are crazy, but they've been around forever. So in 1849, Esther Howland, she became the very first publisher of Valentine's cards. And she opens up her very own publishing firm just to make these really amazing, elaborate cards that were like super decorative. And, the pop-up book was a thing that was already out in the early 1800s. And so elements of pop-up cards, which I actually know how to make a super simple like pop-up thing because of scrapbooking.
Yeah.
And I've always wanted to learn how to do pop-up cards and stuff because I'm into like I like puppeteering, and the thought of like that is cute.
They have some on the Cricut space
yeah,
thing.
I bet they do. So she started making these really, really amazing. And she took over that market at the time, and I messed that up, but I do believe she was in the United States. I believe she was on the East Coast.
Okay.
And then in the early 1870s, so technically, yeah, that's a long time ago, but it's not that long ago.
No.
In the early 1870s, a German immigrant named Louis Prang had perfected his own type of lithograph printing. And so because of that, he cornered the market of publishing like super extra high definition colored printed Christmas cards. And that they were mainly sold in England. But 5 years later, he started a new line of Valentine's and Christmas cards that were just sold in the USA. So not very much longer, just 5 years longer.
Okay.
In 1910, 18-year-old Joyce Hall started a postcard company with his brother Raleigh, and they just sold colored picture postcards. They named their company the Hall Brothers. And the problem was, unfortunately, a fire happened in just 5 years later in 1915, and it burned like everything they had.
Yeah.
And so now they're trying to figure out like what direction are they going to go? What are they going to do? And so they decide to put themselves in more debt than they are already in. I know that like fire insurance was a thing back then, but I'm sure the stipulations now are crazy. They probably were back then too. Yeah, I'm sure. So, I mean, obviously like arson and shit, you're not going to get your insurance money back. So depending on like what they could analyze back then, I'm not sure if they had insurance, you know. So they were really, really in debt, and they decided to buy their very first printing press the same exact year. They did not give up. They were $17,000 in debt, which now is the equivalent of like $500,000.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So they are really into this, and they really want to do it. And so it doesn't matter that they are in debt. They started making and selling enveloped Christmas and Valentine's Day cards, because what was happening was the postal service, the way that people were changing and the way communication was changing, and how fast the postal service came into play. Because mind you, I didn't write it down, but postage stamps weren't a thing until like 1840, something like that. Again, not really that long ago in the grand scheme of history.
Yeah.
So people were craving privacy. So they were really the first people that started these line of cards that had envelopes. And not only were they just enveloped, they were really beautifully decorated. And it went back to Europe, because in France, that was a really big thing. It was very floral and romantic and beautiful. And so those envelopes would be embossed, and the inside liners were really decorative too. So the inside liner, in case you don't know, is another it's usually a very long rectangle, and the top is bevel pointed angled. Okay. Yeah. Because that part is going to be the top envelope flap, and the bottom tucks in and is glued inside, and you can't hold it up to the light. It's the very first invention of like the privacy stuff in like your bank mail. Yeah. So anyway, so they have this, and they're becoming really successful. They're so beautiful. And during the Christmas time, they've expanded a little bit, and gift wrap was a thing back in the day. It was a thing, but it was really simple. They would use reusable materials because surprisingly, wrapped presents were again a status symbol, because it meant you had extra money to add on top of something frivolous. And not only that, you had a wrap package that was like huge. It was like, what's in there? Oh my God, there's something in it. Yeah. And so they did have paper wrapping, but it was expensive. And it was also not very decorative. It was solid colored. So during the holiday season, they ran out of solid colored paper. But what they had was the decorative lining paper. Oh, yeah. So instead of die cutting it down to the smaller liners, they used huge sheets. Essentially, inventing what is now decorative wrapping paper today. They were the very first people to do
That's
it.
cool.
Yep. As they got older, they're progressing just like us. We're getting new ideas. We're moving forward. They're doing the same thing. They're getting older, more mature. And excuse me.
Okay.
They are really wanting to further themselves and give themselves a new polished look.
Mm-hmm.
And in 1828, they changed the company name to Hallmark.
I knew it. Because it was the Hall brothers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was like, oh, it's Hallmark. It's totally
Yep.
Hallmark.
Yep.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So there are other companies. There's like the American Greeting Company. Basically, there are dozens of them, but pretty much Hallmark was and I do not want to take away from, Esther Howland. That's amazing what she did. Because being a pioneer for a woman back then was hella hardcore, even for artists. Like, most of there were amazing female painters during the Renaissance, but they still never got as much credit. I mean, not much has changed.
Yeah.
So,
Starving artists.
they really were, the way that they expanded from so many different just paper products, and like most of us know, they now make ornaments and crazy stuff.
They have a whole store in the mall.
Yeah, and the things they sell tend to be a little more towards what I would say would be like heirloom quality. Like I have Hallmark ornaments and things from my childhood still that are held up. So yeah, I thought that was really fun because I'm just reading it through and I was like, oh my God.
That is
when
so
I was
cool.
reading it, I actually didn't really
put two and two together right away. Yeah. That is cool. I didn't know that then it turned into wrapping paper because I don't really think about like where did wrapping paper start? Because like didn't people like at least wrap up stuff in general, like with butcher paper or something? So
because a long time ago, the way that gifts would be was they would really put like little treats and things in your stocking that you would hang up. And in Victorian times, at least, is part of what I know, is like little gifts and knickknacks and stuff like that would be put in the tree. Like it was usually pretty small, and maybe like a very fancy teddy bear, if you were lucky enough to have something like that, or a doll might be set under the tree with a bow, or like a bicycle or something, but that was showy and it was also rude. So I think it kind of went in between, like they found a way to like go around being showy by being more showy. Because technically society has always been silly and pranky and funny. Like how many times you put like something really silly in a tiny box, or sorry, something really little in a huge box.
Okay.
To be funny.
So I did that one year. So Jack is really weird about unwrapping stuff. And it is so annoying because he won't tear into a present. He will find the tape. He will peel the tape off. He will find the other piece of tape, peel the tape off. He will unfold his present. He does not rip the paper.
No, he never has.
Never does.
My whole life.
So one year, I got him a Kindle. This was years ago because now it's mine because he that light thing bugged him on the screen. So I took it. I'm like, fine, I'll take that back. So I got him a Kindle, Paperwhite, and it's small. And so I was like, you know what? Like what we have to do for Christmas is hide all of the stuff in Amazon boxes, as we get it. And as you know, it's like a bunch in my garage. I have a bunch sitting over here. And so I saved all the boxes and I wrapped a present and a present and a present and a present. So it was like each one was another. He'd unwrap one thing, it would be a box, and then he'd open the box and it's another present inside. And there was like at least 15 layers.
Oh my God.
And I had our old camcorder, like the one that we used at our wedding, the old camcorder. And it took him so long that it like auto stopped, like for some reason.
Yeah.
And so because I wanted to, it was so annoying that I just told the kids, okay, keep it opening. Like this is going to take forever. I figured it would just be like, oh, forget it. Like just rip them. No, he was tedious in that unwrapping. And, and it's like cheap wrapping paper too. But yeah, so I wrapped, a tiny little gift in it was like the biggest box we had.
Gonna happen.
Yeah. I kind of was hoping that at some point, at some layer, he would just break and just be like, whatever, this is getting annoying.
Or like, I'll do it later.
Yeah. It just took forever. and then it was a gift that ended up be in mind because a light on the screen bugged him, and so
Yeah, it wasn't even a dead pixel. It was like the opposite of a dead pixel. It was like
too
a blown
bright.
out. It was.
I don't
but
see it, but
do,
I'm like,
but
I
it's
do,
not something that
but
bothers
barely. But like, I don't see it when I'm reading. I really don't. But yeah, so I use a lot of wrapping paper.
Hashtag ADHD.
I know
We all
these are
have
really-
our quirks, you know. Like the older I get now, like I was just talking to my sister, and I was like, wait a minute, I have like weird stuff with sensory because I use a depilatory cream on my arms and my legs, and I used to use these in depilatory cream is like a chemical hair remover, and it smells like rotten egg farts.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better smelling now than it used to be, and I got a super sensitive formula because I have baby skin. It's ridiculous. It's so sensitive to chemicals. And I know it's chemicals.
And
I
then you
don't
came over, you
plan-
were like, feel my arm, and I'm
feel
like,
my
why?
arm. And I was telling her, I was like, dude, I'm touching my own skin, and because I've never felt my skin in that way, like not since I was like 12 in volleyball, it feels so strange to me,
Like,
almost
but
to the
that's my
point.
arm.
Yeah, your arms are always really soft, but it's
'cause I
my
shape
own,
my
like
arms.
between the tactile feeling of my skin and my fingers, my brain is like, it feels like numb static. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's different. And then you just realize, like, I don't like mist on my face. What is that? And it's just like the weird quirks that you find out that you're like, isn't it hilarious how...
Oh my gosh, and my hands have been so dry, so like...
I asked you about the Aquaphor. I got crusty lips.
My whole...
the
Did you see Lincoln's lips?
I
like
didn't.
down here? Oh my gosh, we're struggling. We really are. But yeah, it's all dry, and then I like had to fold laundry, and I'm gonna get the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Microfiber cloths. Oh, and it was on dry skin. It was so bad.
All crusty and chalky.
How do we end up here?
I don't know. Sorry.
Sorry, you guys.
It's that cough
We're
medicine.
like... we're surviving barely. So, okay.
All
well,
right, your turn to
I
fuck it
know.
up.
Sorry.
Mess up the party.
Now I'm struggling.
This is just us hanging out.
I know. Sometimes like, oh wait, we're recording.
Feel my bare hairless arm.
I know.
Or like the way we start. The way we we're leaving it in. The way we start, before we even turn on the mics, we're like leaned in talking.
Yes.
And we talk, not that this isn't us, but we really make sure that we are like enunciating and talking like we're recording. And we're actually just sitting here talking to each other.
And then we're like, we should probably start recording at some point.
Yeah,
Just
we
talk
should have
about
recorded that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
Okay, I know.
Let's hear
it.
We
But
said this is going to be short.
yeah. No, now I'm thinking about that greeting card because there was another greeting card that I saw and I'll show you after, but it's really funny because it's so cool that you did greeting cards because I was just going to show you some TikToks.
That's awesome.
Or as Jack calls them, my Tic Tacs. But he sends me more TikToks than I send him.
That's so funny.
Yeah, he's finally turned.
Your guys' love language is TikToks.
TikToks.
We just send each other memes.
Yeah, TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube videos. That's literally back and forth, like all we do, because then we talk on the phone. So
yeah. Okay. Super close.
Okay.
Sorry, this dude. He's dressed as a turnip with a walking stick, and he has a top hat, and it says "Merry Christmas to you."
Oh my gosh, this is so random
right?
and so Victorian.
Really is. It's just like, hey, I thought of this, and I'm gonna do
funny
it.
how they would just do that.
Look at this. This is like a chive and a, I don't even know. Merry Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
They give zero fucks.
That is so weird. Yeah, we definitely are gonna post some of these.
I will.
They're very random.
Those aren't even the funniest ones.
Every time I go to pick out a greeting card, like a happy birthday card or even like a baby shower card or whatever.
It's very important to me. I don't mess around.
I get the stupidest one that I can find. The funny ones, like I never get. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I don't never get. Like I was looking for a birthday card. And I saw like a just because, and it was like,
oh, that's cute.
You know, and I sent it to Shannon because it was like, I love you, I'm thinking of you, kind of thing.
I mean, they still fit for a birthday because it also is like just not just because it's your birthday.
Yeah,
like I care about you all the time.
Yeah, so I think I sent it to her like randomly in the year, and so yeah, I usually go for the funny cards.
Whether I decide to be funny or sentimental, I will never pick something that I don't mean. Or that I don't think is funny. And I'm also, even though I have this sense of humor of like a 12-year-old boy, I'll be mostly appropriate, I think.
Yeah, I am. I don't know.
You just be silly.
Yeah, I just like the funny cards. that's what I gravitate towards.
Yeah.
Even for like
They are fun.
like my parents.
My my mother and father-in-law do that for Kurt, and it's adorable. I always love looking at them.
Yeah, Jack gets like the simple cards most of the time for me.
Yeah.
Just, whatever. But I'm like, okay.
At least he does.
I like him.
The thought that counts
Yeah,
is really
he does.
sweet.
He always does like, the Valentine's Day card. Not like because that's a lot. It's like anniversary, Valentine's Day, birthday, Christmas, all that. It's just a lot. And so, but now that I have the Cricut, I've been making a lot of cards because I can.
I love it.
So, okay. So, sorry to bring it down, but it is not a very long one, like I said. So, this is the Newnan murders. It takes place in Newnan, Georgia. So, Newnan is Newnan. So, Newnan, Georgia. So, on November 5th, 2020, so real recent, at 7:58 p.m., a 911 call comes in, and it's a woman saying that her boyfriend has been shot about 6 times.
I'm so sorry. The last episode started with a 911 call. That's
Yes.
how I found. But girl,
Yeah,
we
never discuss what we're gonna do.
We seriously are just waiting for one of ours to be like, shit, that was the one I'd already started working on.
So these, mine and your last one start with a 911 call.
And then the
one before that was a divorce and a suicide. Oh, yeah, I know. We don't do this on purpose.
We're like SpongeBob and Squidward. They're like, we're closer than brothers. And then he lifts his shirt and they're like connected with veins.
I swear we're like the same person too often.
Okay,
even with our dinners, where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm making that too.
Sorry.
So this starts with a 911 call. And so she's saying, this it's almost 8 o'clock. It's 7:58. And she's saying her boyfriend has been shot. And they're like, how many times? About 6 times, she thinks. So officers immediately race out to respond to the shooting. And so you can see the body cam footage. I'll post in the sources. You can watch this. It's a lot of body cam footage. And so they, immediately work to secure the scene, find the victim. And that's when they see that they have not one, but 2 victims.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's blood everywhere. It's all over the porch. Now, this is kind of like you walk up the steps and it's like a wooden, patio porch thing, and then it goes into the house. So it's all over. It's all over the door and everything. So it's on the door, on the porch, like everywhere that they're standing. Gosh. And so officers then need to obviously clear the house and make sure that there's like nobody else in the house, and nobody else was found other than the girlfriend who called it in. Now, back with attention on the victims, they see that one of the victims was identified as 39-year-old Willie Bussey III. He actually goes by Junebug.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I know. Junebug.
That's what I call our baby kitty.
I know. I thought of that as soon as I was Junebug. Oh. And this is what everyone calls him.
That's cute.
And at this point, he's not responding. And the other victim is 43-year-old Kevin Robbins. Now, both victims are kind of clearly gone at this time. And detectives know this is a double homicide. At the scene, 11 Luger 9mm casings were recovered near the porch and the driveway. Wow. 2 live rounds were also discovered at the scene.
Huh.
Yeah. So officers then interview witnesses, and the 911 caller was Sherry. She lived at the house. She says that her boyfriend is Kevin, who was shot. So
not Junebug.
Not Junebug.
Okay. That Junebug was Willie. Okay.
Yes. So I'm going to say this so it kind of makes some sense. Willie is black, Kevin is white. With a name like Kevin. Yeah, he's clearly white. But so Junebug is black and Kevin is white. So the reason I say that is because when on body cam, she is asked, who her boyfriend is, and she says the white one.
Okay.
So she says that they are remodeling the house and that they had taken the bathroom door off the hinges and they took it outside on the porch to work on it. She then says that Junebug came in and asked if he could charge his phone, and he went back out on the porch with Kevin. She then says that a couple minutes later, there was a sound of gunshots. And she said she didn't see anyone. She just heard all these gunshots. So then a neighbor came forward and said that a guy named Riley had issues with Junebug. He said that Junebug had bikes that he claimed he got from Walmart, but it was likely he stole them from Riley.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So they're thinking, okay, we got to find this Riley guy. So
Can you imagine getting shot 6 times over
bikes?
bicycles?
Yeah. So
People are like that, though.
They are.
They are around here.
Especially if drugs are involved.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
seriously. Ugh.
So they're like, okay, we need to find him. Well, Riley actually had a warrant out for his arrest from another county.
Oh my gosh.
So they were actually able
Criminal's gonna criminal.
Yeah. So they were able to find him through his mother, and he agreed. He agreed to come in and talk to them. And which is so weird because I'm like, if he had a warrant out for his arrest, and wouldn't they just like automatically do, instead of putting a warrant out, let's call the mom, but no, he's had a warrant out for his arrest. So anyway, so they, he comes in to talk to them. So
maybe because it's a different county,
I don't
they
know.
just don't want to, probably trying to keep him as low key as possible.
I
maybe?
have no idea. But anyway, so he had a warrant out for his arrest. So they brought him in. He agreed to talk to them. And so when he comes in, he starts saying that all he knows, like from what he's heard, they're like, what do you know about, what's going on? And he's like, I don't know. All I know is a Junebug and a white guy were shot. So he said he was in a different part of town. And he gave actually names of stores, businesses, and all that he was at. And he said that, him and Kevin had an argument or like a disagreement. And he said that Kevin wanted him to bring a bike over that his mom was going to buy. And he said that when he showed up with the bike, like, he acted weird. So he just left. Like, Kevin acted weird. So he left. I know. So then he says, like, I haven't been back to the house since that happened.
Intuition is important. Sometimes you get a bad feeling. And most of the time, if we don't listen, then you're like, shit.
Exactly. So it's like, okay. So he says, like, I've never been back there since then. And so he admits, this is the crazy part, with criminals going to criminal. He admits to other crimes that he committed. And he said, I know both the victims, but I didn't have anything to do with the murders. And so they looked, he was in all these other stores and places.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Their security footage actually worked.
Yeah. So it was like showing, okay, he is where he said he was, committing these other crimes, stealing and doing whatever.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So of course
he was like, no, sorry, I was at CVS stealing.
Yeah.
You can check the camera.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, well, but I get it. Don't pin me for murder. I was just stealing some chapstick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. So of course he was booked and transferred to the county where his arrest warrant was. So now everything's back to square one.
Yeah.
So one day later, on November 6, 2020, another 911 call comes in. And it's a woman saying that someone was shot at Eastgate Apartments. So once again, officers fly out, to the scene. And this is actually less than 2 miles or just over 3 kilometers away from the first crime scene. So not very far. And once again, body cams are rolling so you can watch all of this happen. It is very interesting to see all the people and just officers arriving onto a scene. It's chaotic, especially if there's a shooting and there's someone down on the ground.
And it's crazy the rules that they have to follow. Like nobody can go in until areas are secure, and that doesn't even if there's a place on fire. Like the cops have to make sure that like the fireman's not going to run in and get shot. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, you got to clear the scene first.
Yeah, and EMS can't help. And that's the thing I've watched.
Not in every case, but a lot.
When you and I watched that body cam show.
Yes.
That
and they were like having to wait.
Yes. And the guy's literally about to bleed to death. And they're like, we're sorry. We can't send him over here because they could get shot.
Yeah.
Oh, I have goosebumps. It sucks. Okay,
so
sorry.
This is just a chaotic scene they come up on. And so it's like in the parking lot of this apartment complex. And so officers pull up. There's a crowd around a man that is lying down on the street, on the road. EMS arrives and officers work to, like we said, secure the scene and start to find out like what happened. And so they find out that the victim was 39-year-old Warner Mandrell Parks, and he went by the name Mandrell. And at the scene, 3 shell casings were found, and it appeared that the shooter was in a car when they shot the victim, and then they drove off.
Yeah.
So the shell casings were sent off to be compared to the shell casings from the double homicide that occurred just the day prior, because they're like, these are too close, too similar. You don't just have like multiple shootings like back to back.
Yeah. If it's not common for the area, that's going to be really
and it's the same type of shell casings. So it's got to be shot from the same gun. It's, so they then tried to speak to a witness, and her name was Nancy, and she was there when he was shot. And it's clear that she knows more than she's letting on. But I mean, honestly, she could have just been scared, because like this guy just got shot in broad daylight. Yeah. And like, she might not have been, wanted to be seen talking to police. Mm-hmm. So she said that all she knew was she saw a guy with a black mask on his face, and that he drove off after shooting. Oh, gosh. So eventually they were able to get her to come in and speak to them, like away from the apartments and all that chaos and stuff. So she tells detectives that she is at the mailbox getting her mail, and Mandrell was at the dumpster throwing some stuff away. And she says that they started talking, and a car pulled up, and he turned around to say hi. And
so he knew who it was, or he
possibly knew, or he just turned around like, hey, what's up? So whether he knew him or not, it's just he kind of turned. If a car pulls up next to you, you're going to be like, oh, hey, like what, and that's when then he was shot. And she said that the car was a gray 4-door, but she didn't really like get a good look. And so detectives then continue to search the scene, and someone then approaches them and says that his 10-year-old son saw the entire thing.
Oh, no.
I know. 10-year-old baby saw all of this.
Sad.
And the boy said that he saw Nick Nelson driving the car, and that it was Nick who shot him.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm. So officers, like, at the scene, go into their vehicle and look up, Nick Nelson on their computer, and find that he drove a Crown Victoria, and it would match like the description given by Nancy. And so they immediately put out a bolo for Nick in his car, obviously. One day later, on November 7th, 2020, another 911 call comes in. Keep in mind, this is one day, next day, very next day.
This is like bam,
bang,
bam.
bang, bang. Yeah, right. One after another. So a call comes in stating that officers need to come quickly to the Motel 6 because they think that their daughter is in the room dead.
Oh, no.
So once again, officers are going out to the motel, and this is only 5 miles away, or 8 kilometers away from the other crime scenes. And once again, body cams are on. You can watch all of this. I have goosebumps thinking about it. They do, and the show that I watch, they do blur out the bodies and stuff. But so like if you're watching one crime scene, next crime, you're not going to see all these bodies. It's going to be a blur. So the family was on the scene, and they're all upset, crying. They can't get into the room. And so once the door to the motel room was open, there wasn't just one dead body.
Oh no,
there were 3.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, in this motel room. There was a female by the nightstand in a crouched position, and then there was a male laying in the doorway to the bathroom, and another male, it was like in the bedroom kind of by the door.
That's so sad. All 3 people, she's trying to hide. He's probably trying to run to the bathroom to get out of a window. He's trying to run out the door.
Yeah. Yeah. So
that's so fucking sad.
Yeah. There were so many shell casings everywhere that it was clear someone cleared out like the entire clip of a gun.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And the bodies had been there for a little bit. So the victims were identified as 32-year-old Tangela Molden.
They're all so young.
Yes, 32 years old. Tangela Molden, she was the female. 37-year-old Michael Lang, and 58-year-old Monty Ballard. So 2 males, 1 female. Detectives said that they didn't even notice that Monty was white because of how the blood pooled like in his body, and it darkened his skin, so he appeared black like the others. I know race isn't a thing, but it's like you're trying to find a connection, and you're identifying to families, black female, white male,
right, exactly.
All of this. So
someone who maybe has a missing family member that's Caucasian.
Yes, just in case, like, they need to identify these people if they can't. But they were all 3 of them were identified, and Tangela and Michael were dating, and Monty was just a friend of theirs. So detectives now have 6 homicides to investigate, and they're trying to see, are they all linked? The same type of shell casings were found at all 3 scenes over all 3 days. And so Tangela's mother was there, so they started talking to her, and she says this, the quote, street was talking. The street,
Okay. Yeah.
Street was
She's
talking.
being like everybody in the neighborhood is talking. They know something's going down.
Somebody who knows somebody, and everybody's talking. So she says that the street was talking, that all 3 of them are dead in the motel room.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So when she heard that, she started looking around and like calling her daughter. She's not answering.
no.
She's not answering the calls, not returning calls. She just knows she's at a motel somewhere. And I can't even imagine that. Like, makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah.
They said that when they started looking through windows at the motel and they saw blood spatter in one room, that's when they called 911. Because they're like, oh my gosh, it's true. It's got to be her. She's got to be in there. And they're thinking like, well, I think they knew. I don't know if they knew that it was maybe just her and her boyfriend. I don't know if they knew Monty was there, but yeah. But the street's saying 3 of them are dead in a motel room. So they found the room, called 911. So at this time, their only suspect is this guy, Nick Nelson, and they get word that his car is found in a hotel parking lot. So they go out there and see, like, maybe it's his. And they're able to find his car at the Red Roof Inn. And then they spot Nick exiting the hotel. They stop him and apprehend him, and he didn't look like he was bothered one bit. He was just like, okay.
Just waiting for it. Yeah. Like, what'd I do this time?
Exactly. So they searched his backpack, and they found a gun, and in the clip there were bullets of the same caliber and the same brand. So, of course, they bring him in, start interviewing him. He's denying shooting Mandrel, even though he was identified as being the shooter.
Yeah.
And then tell him that they have surveillance of him, like, in Eastgate at 5:25 p.m. when the shooting happened.
Yeah.
He was caught on traffic cam, but he's still trying to say, oh, that wasn't me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always do. So, of course, he was placed under arrest. They had enough. So he was placed under arrest for the murder of all 6 people. After his arrest, he is then asked what is your connection to all the people that have been shot, that you clearly shot?
Yeah.
They say they know with all the evidence that the shooting was done by the same weapon and obviously the same person. And it's the same MO every time. It's a shooting, the people are dead, and it's the same caliber, same everything. It's the evidence lines up. And he said that Tangela was his cousin and that Michael was his friend. He said, I don't know, Monty. So the 3 people in the hotel or the motel.
Yeah.
So possibly just kind of like, wrong place, wrong time kind of thing. He then says that he had voices telling him to do things and that he was on drugs and he didn't know what he was doing.
Of course.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed. I mean, I know, but you would be amazed that if you are deep, heavy into drug addiction, you will get
psychosis and you're gonna hear voices.
Absolutely. And it's really, really sad. And all it takes is one bad batch of something and you can just be brain destroyed. And and they will commit crimes and then it's like my brain, I'm so tired. It's they won't get away with it, but it's a much lesser charge, like crimes of passion.
Because
it's
a crime of insanity, because
under normal circumstances
they would not have done that. So it was clear that drugs were an influence, but he's like, I just was like, so I was
so
on
he's
drugs
trying to say that he's the girl's cousin. Wouldn't that lady know? Wouldn't the mom of her know?
I don't. The name wasn't brought up at the scene. At the time. It was at the previous scene at the apartments that his name was given and they put out a bullet for him. So, he said like he didn't know Willie or Kevin. So Junebug or Kevin, he didn't know them. So like they're like, why'd you kill them? And so the ballistics evidence shows that the casings and bullets match the same gun that was used in all 3 crimes. It was the same. Yes, it was clear Nick Nelson was a killer. And he drugs or not, it's like, well, you did it. Like you did it. So he pleaded guilty to 27 charges, including murdering 6 people. So I'm sure it had to do with like firearm possession or whatever. If it was unregistered, it's
crazy.
A
Yeah,
multitude
exactly.
of charges.
Because they try to make it stick as much as possible.
Yes,
So because he was under the influence of drugs when he committed these crimes, that will get him less time.
Yes.
So all the drug charges with the
all
weapons
the 27 charges will
add more time to keep him.
more time, so that in the future, if one crime or one charge is removed or whatever, he still has the charges from all the others.
Right.
So
like say he had marijuana in his backpack.
Yes.
Marijuana
That could
is
be
becoming legal if it becomes federally legal, which I think it's going to.
Yeah, I think
or
so.
I think
Or
it
soon.
might. They want to. I think that's the point. So if they drop that, that would get dropped from his.
Yes.
But he still would have all the others.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure it's a ton of drug possession charges
So he
and
literally
intent to
just
sell or
killed
whatever.
them
So
because drugs.
just because drugs. That's what he says.
Because he was mentally unstable.
Probably.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So he eventually just like pleaded guilty, and thankfully he did, because he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Good.
But yeah, drugs or not, he killed
That's
6
still
people.
insane to
And
me.
it's so random.
Right. Motiveless.
Why
he
Junebug
literally
and
was
Kevin?
Just
Why?
yeah.
Why
Because
the
he
guy
was
in the
driving
parking
past?
lot?
Is that just literally
probably
just driving
he was
past?
probably just driving past, probably walking around.
Wow.
In
Had
a
like a
drug-induced state, just not thinking, oh
my
it's
God.
like a video game, and who knows? Who knows?
And
The
it's
crazy
so
brains.
messed up, and it's really sad too. Like
Yes.
it's hard because you truly can get into the depths of that addiction to where you are not in control of those things 100%, and then say you do recover and you do all the therapy you 100% need to do, you gotta live with that forever. That you did drugs and you lost it so badly. Like, that's so sad. It's so messed up and sad.
It is. If it sounds like it possibly was just drug, you know, and so, but the rest of his life he'll be in prison.
Holy
so
moly.
he can't get all crazy on drugs and kill. Well, unless he gets some hands on his drugs in prison and kills his cellmate or something. Let's hope not. But
It's unfortunately easy to get drugs
I
in
know.
jail.
That's why I said, well, it's not like he can't get drugs in jail.
Exactly.
So
But let's
unfortunately,
just
that's
hope he doesn't have a lot of friends on the outside because of what he did. is
Exactly.
What,
Killed his
the
cousin,
streets
his
remember
friend.
that
and-
shit too.
yeah.
let
Oh
me
yeah.
tell you.
I'm sure the streets were talking after that. But
I bet they were.
But yeah, so that was one that I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to do it or not. But
You know what's crazy
because
too?
it's like the motive. It's like there's no motive.
It's like the last one I just did. You and I
Yeah.
still had we did them both. He got arrested in December. This just happened in November.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because that is what drives me the most crazy. Fucking own up to it. Why did you do that?
Why?
Just deal with it. And even if that he pled guilty because he knew.
Yeah.
But it's just mental. It's sad. Well,
Yeah, someone like that does not need to get out. So I think that's why it's like, you basically did one murder after another. So
yeah, you obviously didn't feel that bad in between because that was like
it's not
3
it was
days.
all done.
It was
it was over 3 days. And
He could have had any one of those moments, had a moment of clarity, and been like, "Go to the police station now and make this as right as you can before it's too late."
Unless he blacked out and he doesn't remember shooting
The
the
whole
first 3 people.
binge for 3 days, probably.
Yeah, who knows? But
Having to cope with drugs after what you did. Fuck.
I know. I know.
Messing me up. This is why we hustled so hard, so we wouldn't have to do this a week before Christmas.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why
And why I
I
sound like this.
and that's why we lightened it up around Christmas time, because it's like, I don't want to be frustrated around Christmas.
No. I'm all sweaty and I have goosebumps right now, and it's like, shit.
I know. So
Both of our husbands aren't into this at all.
no.
And I'm sitting here telling him about the episode that I just did last time. I was like, it's so crazy. And then I told him, the next case I have is so crazy. And it's like, you're not excited, but you cannot believe. How does something happen like this and I never hear about it?
Exactly.
And that's what is so insane, is like when it comes down to these hardcore ones that are just so unbelievable, no motive, all these things, it's crazy when you don't hear about it, because my mom loves true crime, you and I both do. Most of my friends actually aren't into true crime, but I do have a couple, I think. But so it's always interesting when you're like, if we haven't heard about it, it's always strange.
And you know what, that is it is the unfortunate part of this job is researching these crimes, because my mom told me about one that I'm going to do probably next, and I was like, oh, I vaguely remember, because it was so recent. I vaguely remember, well, not so recent, but I remember hearing about it, but I didn't really look into it too much. It was kind of cut and dry, but when I heard about it. So, but it's so unfortunate how many crimes there really truly are. And I just saw, and the top 5 countries with serial killers. Do you want to guess the top 5?
North America.
Well, country, not continent.
Oh, okay. So the United States is got to be one of them.
Okay.
My brain says South America because I don't know if I want to say like Mexico, South America, or Brazil, South America. But
Nope.
No. So neither. Okay.
No.
I give up.
Okay. I will start.
I'm like every country so far. I've covered a bunch. So I'm like, I don't know.
Yes, I've only covered U.S. so far. I think. Yeah. Because unfortunately there is a lot in the U.S. So yes, U.S. is on the list. I will go from the number 5, Japan. This is with serial killers.
Okay.
Documented serial killers, not like suspected.
That's very interesting.
So documented serial killers.
I guess it's also like per capita matters too. Like
yes,
such
density of
populated
population density. Population destiny.
That sounds like a weird book. Population Destiny.
So no,
we're starting a cult called Population
does.
Destiny.
But
sorry, it's not
but
funny.
then also at the same time, India and China and I would look this up the other day. The population density is like insane. The amount
and they
of
don't
population.
have serial killers.
Well,
As
no,
much.
no.
Yeah. Not the front runners.
No. So Japan has 96.
Wow.
Italy has 97.
Mm-hmm.
Canada has 106.
Mm-hmm.
South Africa
okay.
has 117.
Very interesting.
England.
I've covered a bunch there already. Not serial murders, but
just murders in general. Yes, you have. So England has 166.
Wow. I'm waiting for the United. Wait, let me take a guess.
Take a guess in the U.S. So keep in mind, number 2 is England, 166 serial killers documented.
Okay.
I think that's like all time.
432.
Way off.
733.
Way off.
5,002.
No.
Okay, just tell me.
3,204.
We are sick.
3,204. That is over 3,000 more than number 2.
And the home of the brave murderers.
So that is why it's like there's so many cases that we haven't heard about, but I do like the ones that have closure of like like that case I just did. It's like we know who did it. We don't know why, and it's so infuriating.
Exactly. And like the case, last one I did, we absolutely know who did it.
Yeah,
but
why? Motive? I don't know.
And it's disgusting. It's infuriating for everybody else because you're just like, come on.
So that number, over 3,000 serial killers, that is a lot of cases. But then you think about all the unsolved cases
and individual murders in between that. If that, I know it's disgusting.
Humans are awful, and that's like a podcast I listened to, and it's like
literally called "Humans Are Awful."
No, it's one of his taglines or whatever that he says is the worst monsters are real.
Yeah,
because it's like I'm not worried about like ghosts or anything. I'm worried about a real person.
Yeah,
because people are scary, especially around here. We've got some crazy people. So, anyways, well, with that, I guess stay crafty
and not crimey.
Bye.